Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, the show that helps you sort through all of the trends, new and old, of the fitness world. We'll talk about yoga, running, Zumba, weightlifting, and everything in between. Whether you've got your fitness routine down to a science or you're just starting out and looking for direction, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Sabrina, and I'm really excited that you're here with me today. I hope you're having a good week and weekend so far. We have 4 things we're going to go over today, but first we're going to start by talking a little bit about how to start your fitness journey. So I'm going to go into just some ways to just get yourself going if you are just starting out. And if you're not just starting out, this can still help you because it's some ways to kind of restart your motivation and all that good stuff. But a little later on, we are going to get into some benefits of exercise and some really great things that it does for you, regular exercise. And a lot of these are things that you probably don't necessarily know. I know a lot of people just know the basics of why exercise is good for you, but we're going to get a little bit more into depth about that. And then we are going to get into some guidelines for healthy eating. So we're going to talk about some tips just to generally eat healthier and talk a little bit about how you can do that and some advice on how to do that. And then lastly, we are going to talk about something that is very, very important, which is gym etiquette. And this one's really important because a lot of people, I think, don't necessarily know when they're technically being rude, I guess, in the gym or just not kind of following etiquette and nice manners. So we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end. So first thing is first, starting your fitness journey. And this is obviously probably one of the biggest steps to take, and you should really be proud of yourself that you are taking the first step and starting out. And if you're not starting out, sometimes it's good to take a step back and maybe start over and just kind of get that motivation back and just restart, everything and remember the reason why you're doing it and all that good stuff. So one of the first things that I personally think is a really good idea if you are wanting to get into fitness or just be healthier in general is to kind of know where you're at health-wise. It's good to always, maybe even get a physical exam, but know if there's any limits to your body or anything that could be wrong with your body in the moment, and know, just so that you know where you need to improve your health and what extent you can actually go to. So that's always something that I think most people just kind of don't think about, but it's always a good idea. Secondly is another very important thing to start out by doing, and a lot of people kind of skip this step because I think usually when people get that motivation to actually start, they just kind of jump right into it and they don't plan, I guess. They don't have a plan. And the reason they don't have a plan is because they don't have their goals laid out. So the second thing is knowing what your goals are. Once you know what your goals are, you're going to know what you need to be doing, because you don't want to jump right in and start doing things that are wrong for what you're trying to do and what goals you're trying to achieve. You want to start by knowing exactly what you want so that you could take the right steps to actually get there. And along with that, having a plan is the next one, because once you have your goals set, you need to have a plan on how you're going to get there. So do your research, know what you're doing before you get into it, know how you plan to do it, have a set schedule, a set workout plan, and just be prepared. So kind of just to know, what it takes to get to where you want to be. So say you want to build muscle, you're going to do your research on what's the best workouts, what's the best way to work out, what's the best diet plan to go along with that. And if you want to lose fat, obviously look up, the good things to help you with that, exercise and diet-wise, so that you are prepared to go into it knowing everything you're going to need to do. And the next thing is starting small. And this is another one I think that's really hard for most people, because once you first start, you're at your highest motivation. It's new, it's exciting because you're going to better yourself. But a lot of times you just jump into it and you want to do everything to its full max capacity and the full strength possible. So you want to be in the gym more, you want to work out harder. And this is not the right way to go, because you can actually be just kind of technically rewinding your progress. Because if you do start out at the most effort and most time in the gym and super, super healthy or low calorie or whatever it might be, you're going to, at some point, your body is going to say, this was too much of a shock. Your body can't take switching that hard, that fast. And it can most likely cause you to just derail your whole goals and your whole plan and cause you to be at a risk of giving up. So starting off small is super important, because it's going to give you the ability to do this in the long term and focus on this in the long term and be able to stick with everything that you're doing and stick with your plan and your goals. So the next piece of advice for starting out is to kind of debate how you feel and how you feel about how well you do at doing research for yourself and kind of preparing yourself. If you're someone who doesn't rely on yourself to kind of research into everything and want to take that time for yourself, another idea for starting out is to look at investing in a personal trainer. And this is kind of just depends on what kind of person you are or how much help you want. If, like I said, you don't want to have to take that extra time to kind of research everything for yourself and know how you're going to be working out, watch videos and all of that. You do not have to, because nowadays there is so much for you just out in the internet and in the web world that you can actually just research and watch videos of professionals and you're pretty much good to go. But like I said, this one is just kind of up to you and how you feel. If you'd feel more comfortable having a professional there with you, a personal trainer, then that's totally cool. And if not, you must be able to prepare by yourself and make sure you are watching and listening to reliable sources. And the next one, which kind of goes a little bit along with having a plan, is to have a set schedule. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but this one is also really important, because if you just tell yourself like, okay, I'm just going to make sure that I go to the gym 4 times this week, but you don't really plan it, you can run into some things that can kind of hold you off. Like maybe, you start scheduling things into your schedule and all of a sudden, you're busy every day and it's nearing the end of the week and you've only been to the gym once and you plan to go there 3 more times, but you're not going to be able to make it for the week. So it is really important to have that schedule and make sure you can stick to it. And like I said, start out small. So if you even want to start out with like 3 days a day in the gym or 3 days a week in the gym is great to start off with. And even if it's less than that, it's a great start no matter how much or how long, as long as you are starting. But you do have to make sure that it will fit into your schedule and try to be consistent. Another one, which is just kind of a suggestion. This isn't like something you have to do, but having a friend start a fitness journey with you is really great. To start off going to the gym or doing workouts with a friend is always a great way to stay motivated, because both of you are relying on each other. So you kind of have like that other shoulder to lean on, and you're not just by yourself. And it can actually make you a little more likely to stick with it, because if you have a plan with someone to go to the gym, or you have a plan with someone to meet up to work out or go for a run or whatever it might be, you're more likely to stick with it, because hopefully you're not blowing off your friend. And this will just give you a way to be more consistent and have fun as well. It's a lot of times can be boring or even just nerve-wracking when you're by yourself, but when you're with someone that you're close with and you have fun with already, it will just make your time more fun and probably go by faster as well. Another suggestion would be to try a class. I know a lot of gyms like Planet Fitness have classes right there for you, so don't think they're inaccessible. You can really find them pretty much anywhere, but those are really good because, like I said, when you have someone next to you, it's easier. And this way you have a bunch of people there that are doing the same thing as you, and you don't have to feel alone. And it can probably be a little more interesting as well, because you're not just doing the same old thing or the same old machine at the gym. Having a class can definitely be more entertaining. And then I'm speaking a lot about the gym and exercise-wise, part of health and fitness. But another thing to remember when you're starting your fitness journey is if you start all gym, but you forget about your diet, yes, it's obviously a good start, but a lot of times you could just be working out in the gym for nothing, because you could be doing all this exercise, but if you're not eating healthy, it's not necessarily going to make that much of a difference, because usually at the gym you're going to burn, depending on what you're doing, anywhere from like 200 to probably at the most like 700 calories in 1 hour, and that's super easy to eat in a very short amount of time. So, and vice versa too, if you start just eating healthy, that's really, really great, but you should also start exercising for your cardiovascular health. But so since I've been talking a lot about the exercise side of it, the other thing to remember is for you to remember diet as well, and try to eat healthier, and just remember that you are starting to work out, hopefully. If you are starting to exercise, remember that you have to fuel your body. Remember that you're going to need protein for your muscles. You're going to need carbs for energy. You're going to need healthy fats for your health in general. So just try to, eat healthier and eat to pursue your personal goal. So obviously if you're trying to build muscle, try to eat a good amount every day and obviously up the protein. And if you're trying to lose fat, then obviously monitor your calories. But either way, just remember that you should always be thinking about your diet as well as your actual exercise routine. The next thing about starting out is to realize that you should be prepared for setbacks and not necessarily meeting your goals as soon or as much in a straight line as you think, because things happen. Sometimes we miss the gym, sometimes we don't eat healthy, and just know that that's normal and that's fine, as long as in the long run you are adhering to your goal overall. And every time you have a setback, just get back onto track as soon as you can, but enjoy your time that you are set back. That's how I always see it. Don't feel guilty about it. Just tell yourself, I'm enjoying being a human, but I have to remember I have goals in mind, and I'm going to hop back onto that because that's what's going to make me happy in the long run. And along with this is also looking on the bright side of things. So when you are reaching your goals and when you are seeing a difference in your body or in your health or how you feel physically and mentally, you should always celebrate that. And even if you want to give yourself a little award every time you meet a certain goal, And I would try to have your goals to be not super huge, so it will give you some motivation to keep going every time you meet one of them. But every time you do reach a small goal, reward yourself. So whatever you might like doing, like go on a little shopping day or go get a massage or whatever it is you like, do that. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just something to let yourself know that you appreciate how hard you've worked to get there, because you are making the little steps and you are getting there, and that's why it's good to have small goals so that you can actually see your progress, rather than if you have this huge goal and you might feel like I'm going forever and I'm not reaching that, but you are progressing. It's just you're not going to reach that whole goal till a while. So these are all really important things to remember when you are just starting out, and just getting into it and knowing that you're going to get to that place that you want to be is the biggest motivator. So we are going to take a really short break, and then we are going to talk about the benefits of exercise, and hopefully this can help you as well if you want to start your fitness journey, because we're going to get into every little detail about every single benefit of exercise. So stick around for that, and we will be right back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hello, welcome back from the break. I hope that the first segment was helpful for you. We talked about how to get started and just ways to just get into it and start your fitness journey. And even if you aren't just starting out, it's still a good way to restart that motivation along the way. Now we're going to get into the benefits of exercise, and this should be motivation for you as well. Because obviously if you see benefits of something, it's going to give you a reason to participate in it. And exercise is something that definitely has a lot of benefits. And you may think you know a lot of them, and yes, you probably do, but there's also more. So we're going to start out with the basic ones that you might know already. And the first one is to control your weight. And this one's really important, especially as we age, because our metabolism slows down. And one way to help out with that slow metabolism is to exercise, because it's burning more calories. So it can make up for that slowdown of your metabolism. And exercise can control your weight also if you're wanting to gain weight and build muscle. So you can look at it both ways, but either way, it just gives you a way to control that for yourself, which is actually really cool when you think about it, that you're able to control it. All you have to do is exercise, right? Another one, which is for health reasons, is that it reduces your risk of heart disease. And this one is really important, especially because you see people having heart issues from even young ages. And it's also a very, very common cause of death and just a very common diseases having to do with the heart. So this is another one that's really important, because the more you exercise and the more consistently you do it, you can definitely be reducing that risk. And that's definitely a good reward. Another one is it can help your body manage blood sugar and insulin levels. And this one's super extra important for those of you that have diabetes or even are at risk of diabetes, or diabetes runs in your family. But even if it doesn't, it's still a great benefit. But when you exercise, you're lowering your blood sugar levels and just helping your insulin to work better. So that can cut down your risk of metabolic syndrome and also diabetes. Now to add in one that you probably didn't know, and this one's not going to pertain to everybody, but exercising can actually help you quit smoking. And it's actually been researched, so don't think I'm crazy, but there has been studies that show that when you quit smoking, you are having these cravings that you didn't have before and withdrawal symptoms, and exercise can actually prevent that. It can prevent those cravings and just any withdrawal symptoms that you're having. And when people stop smoking, a lot of times they gain weight. Not always, but it is sometimes a side effect of quitting smoking because they're not getting that appetite suppressant from it. But it can obviously help you to not gain that weight as well if you are quitting smoking. The next one is improving your mental health and your overall mood. This one hopefully you do know because this is my personal, or what I personally think is the most important one. Exercise can greatly improve your mental health and just make you happier and more relaxed, which is pretty much should always be your number one goal in life before any fitness goals or body goals, because if you look good but you don't feel good, it's kind of gonna just go to waste. But when you exercise, your body releases chemicals that improve your mood, endorphins, serotonin, all that good stuff that makes you happy. And it really helps you to deal with stress as well because of that relaxation that you can feel from it. It can also reduce the risk of depression, which is also a really, really great benefit of exercise. Another benefit of exercise is that it can actually help your brain. And this one is another really cool one to me. Intelligence is always a really great thing to have. And exercise can help keep your thinking and your learning skills and your judgment super sharp as we get older. Because a lot of these things can deteriorate as we get older. However, exercise can stimulate your body to release like proteins and other chemicals that can actually improve the structure of your brain and how your brain functions in general. Exercise can also strengthen your bones and muscles, which you probably know this one already. But regular exercise is really great for even kids to retain strong bone mass. And it's been proven that, kids that exercise or are active can actually lessen their risk of the loss of bone marrow as they get older. And then obviously, even if you're starting a little older, you're going to help to retain the strength of your bones and your muscles. And it's really important to do that because obviously as we age, the weaker we're going to get and the harder it's going to be to build that muscle and retain that muscle. So exercise is a good way to do that. Another thing is that it has been proven that exercise can actually reduce the risk of some types of cancers. Not all, but any type is still a benefit. But it has been shown in research that it can reduce the risk of colon, breast, uterine, and lung cancer, which are all still pretty common ones. So that's another one. Another one for anyone who is an older adult is that it reduces your risk of falls. And this is very important, because when we get older, falls are a really big, common way that we injure ourselves. And research has shown that doing certain balance and muscle strengthening exercises or activities can definitely lower this risk of these horrible falls. And when you're moderately exercising and moderate aerobic activity, it can reduce this risk. So that's another really great one. Next is improved sleep. And this one is really important for me because I've always had issues with sleep and trying to get a good night's rest and sleep enough and fall asleep is really difficult for me. But exercise can help with sleep, and this is, in my experience, true. You just have to know how to exercise in order to be able to get that good sleep, because sometimes when you're overworking yourself in exercise, you may think it's better because it's going to tire you out, but a lot of times it can actually wake your body up, and when you're super overworked, it can actually cause you to have insomnia and not be able to sleep. But if you do exercise moderately and in a healthy way, it can help you to fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Another one is improving sexual health. It's been proven that it can, for men, obviously, can lower the risk of erectile dysfunction and help with sexual function, and even in women can help to increase arousal and stuff like that. Another one is increasing your chances of living longer. And this one just kind of holds everything together because obviously all these benefits that I mentioned are important to living a long and full and healthy life. And studies have shown that physical activity can reduce your risk of dying at an early age from certain leading causes of death. So things like heart disease and some types of cancers like the ones we mentioned earlier. Also, exercise can give you energy and just make you more energized throughout the day. I know a lot of people think like, I'm tired, I can't work out. But a lot of times when you are tired, if you do get that workout in, a lot of times it can make you feel so much better and so much more awake than you were before that. In my experience, whenever I'm tired, like say I wake up and I don't want to get up, I don't want to work out, I don't feel good, maybe I'm sick, maybe I feel like I'm starting to get sick, I never ever stay in bed. And this might not be the best advice for everybody because obviously sometimes it is better to get that rest. But for me, when I'm sick and I don't feel good, I still get up and try to work out unless it's super bad, obviously. But I do this because if I don't, I will feel worse laying in bed all day and I will just feel more sick and more tired. Whereas when I get up, I kind of just like energize my body and push everything out and wake myself up, and I end up feeling so much better. So then when I do lay down to relax, I feel better and I just feel more comfortable relaxing because I don't feel as crappy as I did before. The next one is skin. This is one I almost forgot, but exercise really helps with your skin because it's getting rid of toxins and certain things when you're sweating, and especially if you struggle with acne, because I definitely do. This is really great. Also because, and this is kind of like something that is connected, and I'm not sure if it's the cause or what comes first, if that makes sense, the chicken or the egg, but when you exercise and you increase your mental health and your happiness, a lot of times that can really help with acne and stuff like that. Because for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, when you see your skin breaking out or just dull in general, a lot of times it can be because you are having some bad mental health. Maybe you're really stressed and stuff like that. And when you are working out, this can just help with all of that and kind of prevent that whole bad skin moments that you may be having. So that's another one as well. The next one is one that I think most people don't know or most people wouldn't think, but exercise can actually help with pain, especially chronic pain. And exercise has actually been a recommendation by many, many doctors and professionals for dealing with pain. And this is kind of also what I was saying earlier about forcing myself to get up and try to do some activity when I'm not feeling my best. This also goes for when I am in pain. And obviously, do not take this with a grain of salt. Like, if you are in bad pain, obviously, a lot of times what you need is rest. But sometimes, if it's not super crazy pain. A lot of times walking it out and getting some exercise can make you feel better. I do this a lot. I have a torn meniscus and I've had it for a very long time. I never got the surgery. And I once in a while will get some pain and soreness there. And it's weird because I don't know how it comes on, because I usually do the same type of activity and same intensity all the time, but I do still get that pain sometimes randomly. But I don't stop doing what I'm doing, and it stops after a certain amount of time, a short amount of time. And before, I used to rest. I used to, when I would feel the pain, stop working out. And I actually would have that pain for so much longer, and I thought something was wrong. And it took all this time for me to realize that it was just not helping me when I stopped. But anyways, studies have shown that exercise helps relieve chronic pain, even not just, small amounts of pain. But there's been studies that showed that exercise helped, the participants with chronic pain and reduce pain, and along with that, improve their quality of life as well. And the main thing that exercise helps is controlling pain that's associated with certain health conditions. They said chronic low back pain, fibromyalgia, chronic soft tissue shoulder disorder, stuff like that. But also physical activity can help raise your pain tolerance, which is always a great thing, and decrease pain perception. So that's important as well. So these are all of the health benefits. There might be more, obviously, because there's always something coming along that, people didn't realize, or, always other things I can think of. But right now, this is a good summary of many different benefits of exercise. And don't think you have to exercise like crazy or super high intensity or all the time to get these benefits, because you don't. Just having moderate exercise consistently at least 3 times a week can greatly better your health and greatly help you to get the advantages of these things that physical fitness can, give you, all of these benefits. So starting somewhere is really great, and that's why I started out with talking about how to start and then giving you the benefits, so maybe it can give you some motivation. Now we're going to go into another commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about diet. I thought we should get into that, and I'm going to be giving you some ways to help you with healthy eating, some little tips and tricks just to overall eat healthier. So stick around, and we will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back from the break. Thanks for staying with me. We've talked about starting our fitness journey, some ways to help you start, some ways to keep you going, and then we got into the benefits of exercise, which is always important to know. And now I thought we would switch it up and talk a little bit about diet. So that is why we are going to get into some tips and tricks to healthy eating. And basically, I will just be giving you some easy ways to eat healthier every single day, and just some ways to basically just make better choices with your diet. And obviously, you don't have to follow this to a T. You don't have to eat healthy, 100% of the time. But even just doing these things, at least part of the day or, most days is a really good way to start. So the first thing is to, again, like I said about starting your fitness journey, the first thing for eating healthy is to have a plan, and with that plan should come with tracking. It's always good to know what you're putting into your body. And if you're not trying to lose fat, because if you are trying to lose fat, you should be tracking what you're eating and know everything you're eating, considering you're going to have to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat. But if you're not, you don't have to totally take track of every single thing you're putting into your body. But it is good to kind of have an idea so that you can know, that you're getting in everything you need to be getting in and you're not overeating and, all of that. And it's also good to actually see everything you're eating and take note of it, or even take a mental note, because sometimes you could just be totally forgetting or totally just not realizing what you're putting into your body. And if you are seeing it or, having that mental note, it's going to be easier for you to actually be like, oh, okay, like I need to do this better, or I need to eat less of this, or I need to eat more of this, and all of that. The next thing is always smart to eat a lot and a good variety of vegetables. They say that the best vegetables to eat is dark green, red, and orange variety. And guidelines say that it's good to eat at least 3 servings a day, but more is better. But starting out your journey to healthy eating with vegetables is great in so many ways, because vegetables are obviously healthy for you, a lot of vitamins and minerals that you need. Along with that, they can keep you full, which is really great. If you add a serving of vegetables to every meal, you're most likely going to feel fuller and feel fuller for longer. So that's another thing as well. Along with that, it's important to eat a variety of fruits as well. They say 2 or more servings a day. I eat a lot of fruit. I love fruit. So that one's easy for me. And the good thing about fruit is that there is a variety of different fruit you can eat. So this one should be super easy and hopefully super delicious. A tip for getting your fruit in is to basically try to switch it up. So same with vegetables, actually. So a tip to getting your vegetables and fruits in, if you get boring of just having the same old cup of veggies or cup of fruits, is to kind of like switch it up and make it into something that you can enjoy, something a little more interesting. So maybe, saute your veggies into a stir fry with some meat or chicken. Or with fruit, you can make a fruit salad instead of just having like one kind of fruit, or make a smoothie, put it in some yogurt, add some cinnamon. Something I like to do is to cut up an apple and put a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on top and microwave it, and it kind of tastes like apple pie. That's a very secret that I just gave you that I super love. It's delicious. But yeah, that's just easy ways to get those servings of fruits and veggies in. The next thing is eating whole grains and high fiber foods. So like high fiber breads or high fiber cereals. And for whole grains and breads and stuff like that and high fiber foods, it's good to eat like around 3 to 6 servings a day. That is what's recommended. And it's always great to include, everything that I'm going to be listing is great to include together in a meal. So say you eat some rice with chicken and sauteed veggies. And then for a little dessert, you have some yogurt with berries and maybe some cinnamon or something like that. This makes it easier for you to feel fuller instead of just eating one thing and then one thing and then one thing. Making a meal out of it can definitely do you some good. And it's also important to reduce like refined or processed carbs when you're looking at like whole grains and breads. It's always better to go with, the healthier, like high fiber whole grain options. And most of the grains in your diet should be whole grains rather than, the refined and processed carbs. It's just really smart to make that switch, and is usually pretty easy because you're still going to be getting everything out of the better option, and usually still like a great taste as well. Another thing is to try to, or this is a suggestion, to try to replace some of your whole fat products with fat-free or low-fat. So things like milk and dairy products. Usually this can be lower calorie and less of the bad fats that can hurt your heart and cholesterol. So making that switch can really help you as well. So that's another suggestion. Next is to choose a variety of low-fat sources of protein as well. So, for example, eggs, beans, chicken, seafood, lean meats, nuts, seeds, things like that. And this means that you should be avoiding anything that is not low fat. So things that have very high fat. So red meats and stuff like that. So if you're going to go for a certain meal with protein, it's better to kind of have, some chicken or lean ground turkey meat or ground beef, but some lean instead of like super red and fatty steak. This is going to help with many things, your overall health, and making your meal lower calories as well. And reducing your intake of saturated fats and trans fats is important. Trying to reduce this as much as possible because, like I said, this can really affect your heart and your cholesterol levels. And a lot of times foods with more of these are usually higher in calories as well. So trying to reduce that intake is really smart as well. So this doesn't mean reducing your healthy fats, but it means reducing your saturated and trans fats. So when you are using oil, it's always great to use vegetable oils, so like olive oil or canola oil, rather than solid fats, so like coconut oil. It's going to be better for you, and again, better for your heart and your cholesterol. Another thing is to look at how much sodium you are intaking for the day. And a lot of people think that they cannot have salt or they shouldn't have salt, and they spend their time eating like meals with no spice and no salt because they're terrified of it. Salt is very good for you. You just have to remember that you should be having it in moderation. So the recommended is to stay under 1,500 milligrams of salt, which is still a really good and high amount. So don't think you cannot have salt. Just know you should kind of keep it under 1,500, especially if you're older, because or if you have like hypertension or diabetes or chronic kidney disease, because it can be harmful for that. So that's something to remember as well. And then obviously trying to restrict junk food, or even better, eliminate it. But obviously, we're all humans, but trying to reduce it, at least a small amount. And by junk food, I think we all kind of know what I'm saying, but foods that contain, refined sugars, refined, like white flour, like solid trans fats, any added sugars, or super high in sodium foods. It's just better to restrict those and try to eat those minimally, smaller portions of it, or less, days a week of it. It's just gonna help your health overall. Another really good thing that you can restrict is sodas, or any like sugar added drinks that are really high in calories, and just kind of don't really contain anything good for your body. They don't really contain any nutrients or vitamins. It's always smart to retain or restrict that. And sugar-free sodas or no sugar sodas are definitely way better than full sugar sodas. And the thing with this is you've probably heard at least once in your life that diet or no sugar or sugar-free sodas, or I guess anything in general, are super bad for you. Things like phenylethylamine or something like that that's in diet soda. You can look at the back of the diet soda and you'll see something with phenna, whatever. It's a toxin that is found, yes, in any diet sodas. But to put this into perspective, the amount of this that you would have to put into your body for it to actually do harm to you is not possible for you to intake. I looked it up once and it's like something like 1,000 sodas or something in that day for it to actually do anything bad to your body. So don't think that sticking with normal soda is healthier than diet soda, because it's not. But obviously diet sodas have other things in it like sugar alcohols and stuff like that. So it is important to try to, just keep that in mind as well, because that can take a toll on your intestines and your digestion, but it's not going to have any major bad health, things that are going to happen to you because of it. Another thing is if you do drink alcohol, is to kind of moderate that as well. Just, obviously, again, we're all human. We all like to have fun. But it is important to try to, don't go overboard with alcohol as well, because that can just really take a damper on your whole body in general. And then some things if you want to lose weight, in terms of healthy eating, because healthy eating and losing weight are two different things. You can eat healthy but not lose weight, and you can lose weight but not be eating healthy. But if you are wanting to lose weight, a really important thing to remember about your diet, and the number one thing, is to eat less calories than you're taking in. So reducing the amount of calories, reducing the portion size of everything you eat is going to help you lose weight. Everything above is important, everything that I mentioned earlier for losing weight. Eliminating, the sugary drinks, as I said earlier. Again, obviously exercise and, trying to get your body moving. But again, we're talking about healthy eating and not that. But it is important to do both. So along with healthy eating, it's good to still get your body moving. And this can help you as well, because when you're eating healthy or low calorie, sometimes, your body is hungry and you want to eat more, but in order to, maintain your weight or lose weight, that calories are going to be, restricted or could be fairly low. And when you exercise, you're just giving your body a little more space to eat more and a little more calories that have been burned, so that you don't have to worry about, how much you're intaking your body as much as you would if you weren't exercising. So all of these things are really important to try to do in order to just eat healthier and eat more healthy consistently, I guess, because, you can't just eat super healthy like one day out of the week and then the rest just eat like crap, because you're not going to get those benefits of the healthy eating. So another thing that you can also do is to try to just split it up throughout the day. So if you want to have something that's considered a little less healthy and a little more junk food, that's totally fine, but try to eat it, even it out with, a healthier meal for yourself, and just do everything in moderation as well. That's important to remember. So I hope all of these things helped out, and I hope you try all of these things. And we are going to get into our next and final segment, but first we're going to take a little break. But when we come back, we are going to get into gym etiquette, which I'm excited for, because I think a lot of people don't really know gym etiquette and can kind of not follow that and kind of come across as a little bit rude. So we're going to get into that. But first, we're going to take a little break, but I will see you right after that.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hello, welcome back to our next and final segment. So we're almost to the end, but before I let you go, we're going to get into gym etiquette. And before that, I just kind of want to reiterate what we spoke about today, which firstly was how to get started into your fitness journey. And this is obviously always the most important most important thing, because if you don't start, you never get to where you want to go. So obviously this is important. Then we spoke a little bit about the benefits of exercise. And again, this is obviously a really cool thing to talk about because usually when you're doing something and you don't see why it's a good thing or what it's helping you with or the benefits of it, you're going to be less motivated to stick with it or even start in general, which is what we talked about in the beginning of the show. So when you do see the benefits, and as you saw today, all the benefits, hopefully that's going to make you a little more hep to get started or just to keep going in general. And then our last segment was healthy eating and some tips to eat healthier day by day and just to kind of make it a little more of a routine to have that healthy eating in your back pocket so that you can get used to it and just make small changes to your diet in general. And now, final segment, as I said, gym etiquette. And this one's going to be really fun, I think, because a lot of people do not have gym etiquette and it comes off as just being rude. And a lot of times, I know people don't mean it, but the gym can be a really scary and intimidating place for a lot of people. And this can be even worse when there's people around you at the gym that are not going by the guidelines, or even yourself. Sometimes it can be hard to be intimidated and kind of scared or anxious and follow gym etiquette. And also, a lot of people don't even know that gym etiquette exists. So what is gym etiquette? Gym etiquette is basically just being someone who is not obnoxious or making other people feel uncomfortable at the gym. And yes, there is ways to do this. So that's why we're going to get into it. So the first part of gym etiquette is to know the rules at your gym. And this one is really overlooked, and I can see why, because a lot of times people just don't think to read rules or instructions. I am one of those people as well. Sometimes we just don't. We're human and we skip rules and instructions. But in order to be respectful and realize that you're all there, you're all at the gym and you all have the same rules, it's really important to know these. So it seems pretty obvious, but it's not. It not always is. But look around you, you'll see rules. So, like, for example, sometimes, or I don't know about sometimes, I've never seen a gym where they let you go shirtless, but say that's a rule, no shirtless. If you're walking around shirtless, you could be making people feel really uncomfortable, or even make other people feel like, why is he shirtless when I'm following the rules and I can't be shirtless? Either way, things like this, or being barefoot. That's another one. Sometimes that's a rule at gyms, or usually that's a rule at gyms for safety and also like nastiness reasons. I would think I wouldn't really want someone walking around barefoot around me. But that's another example. But if these are rules, you should always follow them. Next is to make sure that you are keeping good hygiene. So this seems like it should be, just second nature, but it isn't always. And I understand sometimes people rush, sometimes your clothes aren't clean, sometimes you forget, sometimes you don't realize, but please wear deodorant and please wash your workout clothes, because a lot of times, I'm sure everyone has been in a position where they're around someone who maybe doesn't smell the best, or you can maybe can tell is not wearing deodorant. And this is something that you should do for yourself, obviously, but another reason to, keep good hygiene is for the people around you, to be respectful of them so they can feel more comfortable and they're not smelling all your, sweat and all that horrible stuff. So that's a really big one as well. And this one is super important, especially nowadays with coronavirus and now everyone should be paranoid about germs and all that stuff. But use something or just wipe down your equipment. Just wipe down your equipment. Once you're done using it, and even beforehand, just to make sure, I would wipe down your own for yourself, and afterwards make sure you wipe down your equipment, whether you use your towel, whether you get paper towel and spray that's usually provided for you. It's provided for you at Planet Fitness. Just wipe it down. It's going to take you literally 30 seconds max unless you're super slow, to wipe down your equipment. Just do it. It's so rude when people don't. And also just like I said, especially now, it just seems like very selfish to go use equipment and not clean up after yourselves. And also, those people that expect the workers to do it or say like, oh, that's what they're here for. Like, no, clean up after yourself. Make it easier on them. It's not that hard. This is a really big one. And this isn't even just like gym etiquette. This is just in general etiquette. I hate when people act like other people need to clean up after them. It's just not cool. So wipe down your equipment when you're done using it. Also, along with this is putting your equipment away. So if you're using weights or whatever you're using, don't leave it out. Put it back. Don't, again, think that the workers are there to pick up your mess. Like, don't make their life more difficult, because they do have other things to do there. If you can believe it or not, it is still a hard job, regardless of, having to pick up after other people. So it's easy for you to pick up after yourself. It's harder for workers if everyone is leaving all their stuff around. So just put it back. Again, it's not that hard. Next is, do not crowd a walkway where people are going to be walking through and where they're going to have to avoid you and walk around you. So if you're doing a little workout or you're warming up or you're stretching or cooling down, I see a lot of people doing this and are like in a place where they're in the middle of where people will walk and forcing people to walk between machines. And it is just so not cool. If you are like, there's so many places in the gym. Like, there's even a section at Planet Fitness that's directly, like, just literally for people to do whatever they want. It's just an open space for you to do whatever you want. So don't, flaunt yourself in the middle of the road, walkway, whatever you want to call it, aisle way. And don't get in people's way. It's rude and it's against gym etiquette. So just, remember that you can always find a room and make a room for yourself wherever it is. This one's a little more specific, but this has to do with the dumbbells. So when you're grabbing dumbbells to use, do not grab them and start using them directly, like not moving and just standing there in front of the rack, blocking people's way. Move to the side and use your dumbbell and then come and put it back. Like, it's so awkward if someone has to be like, excuse me, can you move? Because you're in front of their, like the whole rack. Again, it's just against gym etiquette. Like, just grab it, go somewhere, again, off to the side where no one is, and, you know, do your little routine and then come back and put it back. Again, it's not hard. Also, just giving people space, and this has to do with the dumbbell area as well. Give people space. Don't go too close to people. Obviously, you know, when you're using dumbbells, like, you're going to need extra space more than just for yourself. Like, you're literally using dumbbells. So don't, you know, go too close to people. Also, don't block someone's, like, view in the mirror. If you know, you know, because I feel like there's always times where this happens, like, but don't prevent someone from being able to see themselves and see their positioning and see, you know, what they want to see. Just don't do it. And this one, don't drop the dumbbells. Obviously, if it's an accident, obviously, you know, especially if you're clumsy, I'm very clumsy, you might drop something, you know, it's okay, totally. But don't be someone who's literally just dropping them every set, after every set, like, and making loud noises. It's just really distracting and just not cool for the gym, for the people in the gym, for the workers, just for anyone around you. So just put it down gently. It's really easy. Next is to make sure your equipment is free, because a lot of times people will move someone's stuff off of something and just take it. And this one to me kind of comes with an extent, because yes, if someone has something on equipment and they're like not there for a very long time and you've been waiting to see and they're just like not coming back, like, then there's always like a point in time where you're going to be like, okay, this has kind of surpassed the time. But again, it's almost never okay to move someone's stuff, because then, you know, what if right when you do they come back? That's how I always see it. But if there's something on it, or especially if there's other pieces of equipment that you could be using instead, just do that. Avoid that whole thing, I guess. Like, if there's a loaded barbell, like, don't use it. Obviously, you know, either someone left it there and is being, you know, against gym etiquette, or they're going to come back and it's ready for them. So just keep that in mind as well. That's a big one. Saving equipment. So if you're saving equipment because, as I said, you want to walk away for a minute, you have to go to the bathroom super quick, you have to get a drink of water, then that's totally fine. But you have to remember that, like, you can't just reserve the gym. There's no like reserved cards like at a fancy restaurant. So you can't just walk away for like more than 5 minutes and expect someone to not be like, okay, this person is literally just hogging this machine and not even using it. So don't do that either. Like, keep that in mind. Another one is don't use equipment or multiple equipment and try to be, you know, using multiple pieces of equipment, or even just one piece of equipment, and be sitting there like on your phone or just chilling there for too long. Obviously, we all need a break and to take a little rest, but don't be that person that is like hogging a machine and just literally sitting there on their phone or taking pictures for Snapchat or like whatever it might be. Just don't do it. Another thing is, I think I already mentioned this, to kind of give space, but we were talking about dumbbells, but also like if you're around a lifter, unless you're spotting them, give them space. Like, don't get into their personal space or their bubble. Also, it's also pretty smart to try to be far away enough so that you're not in their like line of sight, and like this could just be really, really distracting for someone that is trying to lift. And obviously this one sometimes like is really hard to do because sometimes you don't even realize because you're not even looking at other people. But it's also something to keep in mind, is to try to be like out of their line of sight. Just try not to, you know, distract them or something like that. And this one I kind of talked about earlier, which was dropping equipment, or dropping dumbbells or something like that. But another thing is obviously, you know, again, this can lead to breaking equipment. So like if you are going to an extent where you see things getting damaged or things like starting to break or bending bars, then you're obviously doing something wrong and you should stop doing it, because you're obviously just at this point like damaging objects along with being rude. So just make sure you're not doing this either. Another thing that I hear a lot, and I actually didn't really know this was a thing, but apparently it's rude to do curls like in the squat rack. And well, if it's something that could be like easily done somewhere else, or this could even go for like many different exercises, but like if you could do what you're doing somewhere else, but you're taking up space in a location of a place that's specific to a certain exercise that's not what you're doing, and again, like I said, if it's something that you could be doing elsewhere, then go elsewhere. Don't take up that space. That's just something again. So nextly is giving advice to random people, or just feeling like you have the right to give advice or opinions is just not cool, because first of all, you never know what they're going for. You never know what they're doing. You never know if they actually want your opinion or your advice or not. A lot of times giving advice can really come off as like just superior, like you feel superior to them and you feel like they don't know what they're doing and they look like an idiot. I personally, if I don't ask you for advice, don't give me advice. If I don't ask you for help, don't give me help. I will ask, okay? And I think this goes for most people. And a lot of people just don't want to be bothered either at the gym. Whether you're giving advice or whether you're just trying to make conversation, like, don't do it. And I saved this one for last because this is like my biggest pet peeve, but especially the whole advice thing. It's just not your place, and you never know what someone's going through, or you never know how self-conscious they are, and you giving advice. And I just want to say, even if you do have good intentions, I'm not trying to say you are a rude person, because you could be having really good intentions about it, but do not do it, because it really could be doing opposite for someone. So keep in mind all of these things next time you go to the gym. I might do like a part 2 on this because there's so many. I'm just running out of time, but I can definitely think of more. So maybe we'll come back to it. Hopefully you liked it, and then we could come back to it. But either way, we are at the end of our show, and I want to say thank you for sticking around. I hope that everything was helpful, and I hope that this section was kind of fun. I thought it was fun talking about gym etiquette. But anyways, hopefully you're going to have some good days ahead of you, and then I will see you again for the next show. But thank you again for listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina, and I can't wait to see you next time.
You've been listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and any app where you listen to podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, we cover it all. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and listen to these podcasts on YouTube. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.